Okay, welcome everyone. I am so happy to see you all here today. My name is Geidy Achecar Hatch,
And I'm Melinda Bowen.
and we're your hosts. No performances, but this is the only event of its kind in Utah. It happens once every fall, and we're just so happy that you're here. Melinda's going to tell you about Euclid.
So the Utah Center for Legal Inclusion is an organization, a 501c3 nonprofit that was formed, I think in 2017 officially, but we didn't really get funding and get going until about 2019. But the whole purpose behind Euclid, as we call it, is to create opportunities like this for students and for lawyers of all different backgrounds, from different communities, of all different identities, and to make sure that there's a place where different people can come to get the resources they need to be successful in our legal community. I love being a lawyer in Utah, and I think most lawyers in Utah feel the same, or at least the ones that I talk to, maybe they wouldn't tell me if they feel differently, but we want to open up the beauty that is the Utah's legal community to everyone, honestly. It's a small legal community. There's a lot of benefits to that, but there's also a lot of maybe barriers that come along with that, with people not understanding different processes and how to get your foot in the door, how to make relationships, how to create connections that you need, and to build a network, and to create job opportunities at the end of the day, right? That's kind of the big goal, is to professionally develop and grow. And so Euclid was formed to make sure that those opportunities can be available to everyone, be more transparent, and to shed some light on the processes that are required to get to the place where you want to be. So we're going to talk through a lot of different things today. There's a lot of information that's going to be kind of shoved on you, but hopefully it will be useful, and Euclid can be a resource, not just now as an undergrad student, or just maybe some of you have recently graduated, and congratulations if you have, but throughout law school we also have mentoring programs and different resources for law students. We have resources for lawyers. The whole point of Euclid is to make sure that at every step there's someone, a resource, a community for people to feel like they can come to feel at home in Utah. So.
Exactly, perfect. Okay, I think we're supposed to be moving. Okay. So really quickly, we want to thank our event co-hosts and sponsors. First of all, the U Law School. We're so grateful for this beautiful facility and all their help and effort. BYU Law School is also a sponsor. Access Lex Institute, and I think, are they tabling? Okay, so they'll be here later today. ACE Prep Test, Curtin McConkey, and Parsons, Bailey, and Latimer. So today, there's programs on your tables. So you can scan the QR code, and that's going to kind of tell you what the program is throughout the day. Where are the bathrooms? We will have breaks. Bathrooms are somewhere out there. Best of luck. I don't know where they are. If somebody wants to tell me. Anyway, and hopefully you got a professional headshot today too. That's something that we like to offer you, so for those LinkedIn profiles and whatnot. So just really quickly, you know what Euclid does. I kind of want to just tell you why we started this particular event. When I went to law school, I'm an immigrant. I didn't have lawyers in my family. It was very hard to navigate law school. It was very intimidating. So we had this idea that because we want to build the legal community that we want to work in, right? We're trying to build something that we want to be in too, right? We wanted specifically to bring you into the building, the big, scary law building, right? And to communicate, I guess the message, you're going to get a lot of information today, but the overall message is that you have a place here. You have some talent or some life experience or some gift that is going to make the legal community better, that's going to help people, that's going to change maybe policy and lives. And it is a big job. It's a big deal. So we want to start by welcoming you into the building so that you know, like, as attorneys, we're saying, come join us. You belong here with us. It's not scary. If we can do it, you can do it. So that's my hope for you today, that you feel that you feel inspired and empowered.
Okay, so I completely agree with what Haiti said. We're just going to kind of give you a rundown of the program for today and also the process to get to law school and beyond. So that's kind of the introduction piece that Haiti and I will be going through this morning with you for a little bit, and then we'll launch into the separate sessions. We're here in this opening session to just give you a big picture overview of law school and the path to becoming an attorney. For many of you, maybe a lot of you already know all of this, so you'll be getting a repeat or a refresher. For some of you, it may be totally new information, and it may be the first time that you're learning about what law school is, what it takes to get there, and what doors it can open. So our goal is to not overwhelm anyone and not to be too redundant, but also to give a clear roadmap to everyone so you can start thinking about where it is you may be in this path and where you might need to be going from here. Not knowing information and not knowing what you don't know can be really anxiety inducing. At least it is for me. I like to at least have a plan. And so hopefully this map can help you all to know where you are in your journey and chart your own course. So we're going to cover a few key questions together. What exactly is law school and what can you expect from it? Why might someone choose to pursue law school and what opportunities come with a JD, which is a Juris Doctorate? What does the timeline look like for getting from undergrad to law school to becoming an attorney? And finally, what happens after law school? How do you actually get licensed and start practicing and get a job and those kinds of things? So we gave our names, but I think it may be helpful for Haiti and I to just give you a little bit of a brief introduction of our path, and it will be brief. We could probably sit here and talk about our stories for a bit, but like I said, my name's Melinda Bowen. I grew up in Orem, actually. My family moved from Hawaii right before I was born, and I went to Timpanogos High School, if any of you are from the area, but I always thought I was going to leave the state to go to college, and then just financially it didn't work out. I had to be able to pay for school and my housing and all of those things. So I went to BYU, which was awesome. I loved it. And then again, I thought like I'll be going out of state for law school because I need to have that experience, but then you can't beat the local law schools in terms of costs and opportunities. So I ended up at BYU. Again, I was married at the time. My husband had started law school at Gonzaga University in Washington, so we lived in Spokane for a year, and then he transferred to BYU when I got in there. You'll actually get to meet him later today. He's actually way cooler than I am and like super funny. So he's on the panel later. He's an attorney too. So we both, though, didn't really know lawyers. We were kind of just figuring it out together and like thought it was cool that we were poor and like just, whatever. We lived in this cheap apartment and ate Hot Pockets every day. So, but it was actually a really great experience for us to have together, and I loved law school so much. After law school, I went to the firm that I'm at now. It's Spencer, Fane, Snow, Christensen in Martineau. I was able to have a couple of other opportunities where I clerked for a couple of judges, and I taught law school at BYU for about 3.5 years. But I am back in practice. I love practicing law. I love representing my clients. I do white-collar criminal defense and commercial litigation. So I have about a half civil, half criminal practice.
I should probably just use the other mic. Sorry. No, you're good. We're trying to learn how to be good hosts, so bear with us. So I think, like I said before, I'm an immigrant. I was born in Dominican Republic. I'm Dominican, Lebanese. My family immigrated to New York when I was really little. I grew up in the Bronx. English is my second language. So sometimes I still mix up like American idioms, and it's really funny. Or I try to translate Spanish ones. It doesn't work. But you can imagine that I always felt like a fish out of water, right? And so for me, but it was always a dream, right? I always thought I was the kid. I bet many of you were this kid whose parents were like, you should be a lawyer because you argue so much, which is like, that's actually not what we do. But it was always a dream. My path to law school was a little more meandering. I graduated from here, the University of Utah, in 2003. And then I had a child. I had a little boy. So I really just wanted to be with him. I taught middle school. I did what I could with my English degree until it was the right time for me to go to law school. And then I had, and I lived in Florida and et cetera, did many things with my life. I had a second child, and this is why I say if I can do it, so can you. And then I became a single mother, and I went to law school, I say, with my 2 kids. All 3 of us went to law school together. And I went to BYU. Just loved my experience, have loved practicing here in Utah. I've had a lot of different experience. I think at first, you do whatever the law firm tells you to do. I did a little bit of criminal defense. I did personal injury, divorce. But my passion was always immigration law. I was doing that from the beginning. And now I have my own practice, and I focus on immigration law. And I love it. It's really difficult. It's trying, but it is so rewarding, and I feel called to it. And I'm just grateful because I have found mentorship and support in Utah. Melinda is a huge inspiration to me. There are people in this room that I can call anytime, and we lift each other up, and it's very rewarding. That's my short story. Okay, so what is law school? And this might be really basic for some of you, so bear with us. Essentially, it's a graduate level program. As you know, it's 3 years long, and we're training future lawyers. A lot of people will say, well, what kind of law did you study? You study a lot of different kinds of law in law school. You're in law school to learn how to think like a lawyer, to learn how to think critically, how to read case law, how to think outside of the box, how to solve problems and think on your feet. Every class is going to have like a lot of cases that you read for every single class. It's very overwhelming. You're reading cases and you're like, I know that this is English and that I can read English, but somehow I'm not understanding the words that are on this page. But you learn, and you have awesome conversations and discussions in class, and you learn how to spot issues and apply legal reasoning to real world situations. So you learn through actual cases, and you'll see that later today in the mock class. I think after that, you guys know you earn a JD when you go to law school. It's a Juris Doctor degree, and then you have to take the bar exam, and then you have to that's what gets you admitted into the bar. You're sworn in, and then that's how you get to practice. But you really learn on the job. Law school doesn't teach you how to be an immigration attorney or a white collar, or a prosecutor, or it teaches you how to think, how to read cases, how to research, how to write. It's rigorous, but it is, I seriously miss law school so much. It is the most fun learning environment you can imagine. I'm like little spokesperson for law school, but I really mean this stuff, you guys. I really do.
Is this working?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to echo. I'm going to actually add this back in.
Yes.
We decided to cut some things, but now things are coming to mind that I'm going to add back in. So to Heidi's point, it's a totally new vocabulary and a new way of thinking. And I loved every minute of law school. You'll talk to people who really did not, and
that's right.
That's fair too. But,
Melina.
Melina Giraldi in the back. There we go. She's the best, but she didn't love law school. But I did, and I actually had my fifth. Yeah. Or you call us and be like, "What the hell, guys?
You lied to me."
Come on. Yeah. No, but I actually had my 15-year law school reunion last weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It was weird. And I had several of my law school classmates there, and we were all, and it was interesting because several people were like, I don't know how I feel being back here. And I'm like, are you kidding? It's amazing. And a couple other people were the same. We're like, no, I would be back here every day if I could, And so I think you can enjoy the process, and it may help to find the right people in your class, of course, and all of those things. But you're going to face some moments, especially in those first few weeks, where you're not sure if it's the right place for you, even if you love it. I remember distinctly sitting in my first class on the first day, and they had given us a case to read. I had read it, thought I understood it. And this guy, he wasn't a kid, he was actually much older than me, but this guy, who is now, like, I see him all the time with his kids at the trampoline park, and we laugh about this, but he's like spouting off about the dissent in this case, which we had not been given to read. He just independently went out and found it and like read all the different opinions. And he's like having this full-on discussion with the professor about the dissent, and I was like, what? Like, I don't even know what the dissent is at this point, Mm-hmm. And so I like pull up dictionary.com, and it's like super embarrassing. I had dictionary.com bookmarked on my laptop for like a month because people were saying words I did not know what they meant, or I kind of knew what they meant, but like in context I could put it together, but I wanted to be sure, and so it was like this really challenging process mentally and emotionally. I felt like I am like somewhat intelligent, and so it felt weird to not know if I was, frankly. And that week I had made friends with at BYU you get assigned like a desk where you can put all your books and things like that.
It's called a carrel.
It's called a carrel. My carrel mate, Lance Talakai, was this big Tongan guy who played football at UH, and he and I just became instant friends for a variety of reasons. But one day I was like, Lance, can I tell you something? He's like, yeah, of course. And I was like, do you feel dumb? Like, I feel really dumb. And he's like, Melinda, you're not dumb. And like, it's just like a new place, it's a new setting. And
a new language.
He was like the best, and he still is the best. Hopefully you don't ever need to use him because he's a public defender, but like he's here in Salt Lake too. But he said something that really has stuck with me, and I've really tried to carry this through in so many settings because these feelings come up even for me. I'm in my 40s, and like even for me now, I have these moments of like, am I dumb? Do I fit? Do I belong here? And what he said was, aren't we lucky to be surrounded by so many intelligent, interesting people? Like, aren't we like so lucky to be in this spot? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, and you're just as interesting and intelligent. So like, stop. He was like very just direct about it. And it made a difference in how I saw my experience in law school. And I have like thanked him for that multiple times, and I was like, I don't even remember that, but like you were dumb to think that you were like didn't belong there.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too because we do this for ourselves all the time, right? Like you did all the things, you will all do the same things to get into law school, and if a law school accepts you, they think, especially when you're talking about law schools at the level that the U and BYU are, right? They're not law schools that are just there to collect money from people. They are highly ranked schools. They need you to pass the bar for their numbers. If they did not think you could succeed in law school, they would not admit you. So it's important to remember that there's a place for you there when you're there. Really quick on the Socratic method, you're going to experience a little bit of this when you go through the mock class later. It's like my favorite thing of the whole day. You'll see that it's not like just what's going on in this case. Like the point of law school, and why I think we loved it, at least why I loved it, besides a million things, is it's like, let's talk about the situation and what the black letter law that came out of this, or the rule that came out of this set of circumstances in this case, right? But then your teacher's going to say, well, what if this had been the case? Well, what if this had been the case? And it starts to like bend your mind. And the greatest thing about that is that you never stop thinking like that, unfortunately, ever again, right? You break down, you think critically. It's really training your mind. And essentially that's what law school is.
So, I mean, aside from just the awesome experience that you'll have in law school, why do it, right? And I have actually been on a lot of like online forums and stuff with people telling students like, don't do it, don't go to law school. And it makes me mad a little bit, honestly. But I think it's fair to like get the full information before you go and to understand why you should do it, maybe why you shouldn't, but to make an informed decision. So why choose law school? At its most basic level, it is the pathway to become a licensed lawyer. You can't become a lawyer without going to law school in almost any state. I think there used to be, I think in Minnesota, you could take the bar without having gone to law school. I don't know if that's still the case, but if you, I mean, you can check out Minnesota. In Utah, you have to go to an accredited law school and graduate. It also, like Geidy already described, just develops a different level of critical thinking, problem solving, and other skills that you just can't, I don't think you can replicate in many other ways than going through that process. And it sounds a little bit elitist to say, like, you can only do this in law school, but it's sort of true, to be honest, to be just like candid with you. And there's a lot of other skills you don't learn in law school that you can learn in other places, but these kinds of skills that are listed on the slide, I think, are really critical. And I think one of the things that comes from that is this ability to be able to say, I don't know the answer to every problem that a client gives me. Like, I can't say off the top of my head, like, section 80-2-3090 of the Utah Code says XYZ, you know, and therefore this is the answer. It's like, I don't know what the answer is in your particular case, but I can figure it out. And that it builds confidence in a way that I don't think you can mimic otherwise either. So, and of course it opens doors to the careers that you might be after, including ones at law firms like the one that I work at, or to start your own firm, which is, like, I've had a lot of friends do that and feel like super gratified, and they love that. Public interest or nonprofit work, they're always looking for lawyers in that field, in those kinds of organizations as well. Government and public policy, you'll know a lot of representatives have been lawyers in the past. I think, I can't remember if like every one of our elected representatives in Washington now is a lawyer, if I remember right. Or no, one's a doctor. But like most of them have been lawyers before becoming politicians. And then of course there's a lot of other opportunities in business, consulting, academia, those kinds of things. I mentioned before, my husband's here, he's a non-traditional lawyer. He works in banking and finance, and so like he can give you a sense of what that looks like from like having gone through the law school path to get there. So it really is one of the more versatile graduate degrees, I think, available out there, because it can open up a lot of different paths, even though the one you'll most likely hear about the most is going to a law firm.
But there are also other things, I think, that a law degree, it gives you credibility in this way that like you may not deserve. But if you are a good person with good intentions and you want to serve your community, it will come in handy. So the things that I love the most about what I get to do are not actually, really maybe 40% is my legal practice. I get to serve on the Euclid board and be here with you. I get to be on other boards for other nonprofit organizations, right? Like a school board is going to be so happy to have a lawyer. So it's how you can serve your community, your family. Like it's about so much more than the job.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it can serve you personally too. Like I was able to write a letter to my city to make sure that our building permit didn't get rejected this summer. So
you can solve some real life problems really quickly.
Yeah.
The next slide, I'm going to be really fast because I have one piece of advice during your undergrad years. If you are in a major that you love, your grades will reflect that. It does not matter what your undergraduate degree is in. Some of the most brilliant people that I went to law school with were like science something or other. I don't even know what it would be. Some kind of science thing, or music, or language, or just what matters here for law school is your GPA. If you really intend to go to law school, you don't have to worry about an undergraduate degree that may not get you a job, right? You need to get the grade. Take the classes that get you the grades. You want to shine. You want to be the best in your area. And in that area, we need diversity in fields of study too. We need people who studied music and science and political science and English and math. This is all helpful in the law. So that's my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you'll see once you get to law school just the variety of majors that come in. There's a lot of poli-sci majors, a lot of English majors, which is also great, but you can do whatever suits you personally. Of course, you also have to take the LSAT, which is the entrance exam. There was a time where some law schools were going away from requiring the LSAT. I think we're now back to requiring the LSAT again. That may
I
be
think
something
maybe
that,
some people still do the GRE.
yeah.
BYU does GPA if you have a high enough
Okay.
GPA, and then GRE, ACT if your score is high enough and you feel confident about it. And then some other schools will accept
Okay.
it.
That's really good information.
So there are options out there. The most normal or like the traditional path is the LSAT. It's a test that has a few different sections that have actually evolved. The game section is no more. Did you know that?
I know, which was my favorite.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
But anyway, so I loved the games. My husband hated them. It like tanked his score. But yeah, anyway, so
Those logic games were no joke.
yeah, so the LSAT, you can take prep courses. There's, of course, opportunities to get prep courses here at today's event. There's a lot of other ways to prep and get ready, but that is something that you could start doing in your undergrad or if you've already graduated in the years leading up to when you're applying.
Really quickly, by a show of hands, who here has already graduated from college? Who has their undergrad degree? Okay. Perfect. Okay. So I just want to make a quick point. By the time I applied for law school, I'd been out. I mean, I'd started a business. I had taught middle school. I didn't have professors to get letters from. That's okay. I had colleagues. I had, bosses, managers, supervisors. I had my resume, my history. So just know that it's not so prescriptive. It's not like there's not one way to do this. There's not one way to get in. That's, I think, really what you need to know.
Right. Yeah, and on letters of recommendation, I think I had one professor who I TA'd for, but the others were all people that I had a gap year where I worked, and it was like my professional colleagues who wrote the letters for me. And that seemed to resonate and was fine, so.
And sometimes maybe even more,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
real life experience is amazing. Okay.
We're not quite there
Not
yet.
quite there.
Or did you already do that? Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the law school timeline itself. So in the 4 to 5 months before applying, you're still preparing for the LSAT, and you can start making your list of law schools that you plan to apply to. And I mean, the schools that you choose will be based on a variety of factors that are personal to you: cost, ranking, placement after law school, programs. There's certain clinical opportunities at different schools that are not available at others. There's so many factors, and where you want to end up, after law school. For me, I'm super close to my family. They're basically all here. I knew I wanted to be in Utah, so I wanted to apply to Utah law schools. We applied other places too, and thought we might live in California where my husband's from, and then ultimately I said, no, I'm not leaving my family. So anyway, that's how that played out for us. But I applied to, I think, like 10 different schools or something like that. I can't remember the exact number. So you also, a few months before you're applying, or even before, you can start preparing your personal statement. And each law school has a little bit different requirements as to what they require in the personal statement and essays kind of space. Some, it's just like you're purely like, tell us why you're unique and why, what experiences you've had that would make you a good candidate for law school. I went to the BYU pre-law advisor and just kind of asked her, like, okay, what do people write about? And kind of talk through. And she went through drafts with me. Her name's Christina Carlston. It was someone different at the time, but right now it's Christina Carlston. She's amazing, and I think she talks to people even if they're not BYU students, and if they're graduated, she's pretty open to helping anyone. Her dad actually works with me, and she's great. You will benefit from getting some insight from a variety of sources. You can ask friends or family members to read through and just say, like, does this sound genuine? Does it sound like readable, all of those kinds of things.
A quick note on LSAT prep. Some geniuses
We don't need to talk.
don't need to do a lot, but I would say if you're not a good test taker, I'm not a good test taker. I did ACE prep test. They are one of our sponsors today because I truly believe that they have one of the best prep programs. And you'll need to listen to every word that he says if you go to that breakout, but like preparing and taking the time to do well on the LSAT, especially if the other things, maybe your GPA isn't your strongest, or maybe you don't have that brilliant ACT or GRE or whatever it is, right? Like this is your time to shine. And the thing is that if you do well in the LSAT, you can get scholarship offers. So it's like money, right? It's like getting free money for studying. So there's no shame in taking the test more than once, in taking longer to study. Like you really need to focus on doing well. Again, I start with GPA always and then the LSAT because these are two things that are completely in your control. Like these things are in your hands. Like once you get to law school and grading starts, trust me, you will learn very quickly that you can work really hard and it's not, you don't always get the results. The LSAT is one of those things that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
The numbers talk.
Yeah, they do. And for the law schools, the numbers affect their ratings, or rankings, frankly. And so they have to care somewhat about the numbers, even though the personal statement does matter. And in terms of like what you write about, it's totally up to you. But I would say make it something that's actually personally genuine to you. I've read several personal statements over the years, and sometimes it's like, my family took a trip to DC for a weekend, and I loved being there. And I was like, okay, that doesn't really tell me anything about you, And it doesn't mean you have to have some like dramatic story. Mine was a little more dramatic because my sister was in prison at the time I applied for law school. So it was like, this is personal to me. But like, that doesn't have to be your story and probably shouldn't. I hope it's not, frankly. It can be a variety of things, just something that was meaningful to you and why you want to go to law school. So it could be, like you learned something from your parents or whatever, just connect it to you. So the people who are reading these applications, it's a committee usually that involves professors from the law school and admin and admissions people, and they're reading hundreds of them. So you want to give them something that's memorable, frankly. So yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents. Okay. Oh, is that all we have? Yowza. Okay.
So, I mean, honestly, law school timeline, take a picture of the slide. We don't need to talk to you too much about this.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of time. Yeah, you guys can figure this out. You guys got this. Okay.
That's probably actually like the more nuts and bolts that you want to hear.
I know. Actually, do you want to hear that?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, guys. Here you go. We're going to go fast.
I'll do it. You read.
Okay. September through February is when most applications open. Apply early, stronger admissions, and better chances for scholarships. We already talked about personal statement, resume, transcripts. By the way, use your resources. If you have somebody who's a really good writer, let them read your personal statement. People want to help you. Like, we want to help you. We just met. So, really, use your resources. The ideal target to submit applications should be October 31st. And sometimes law schools may request an interview. So November, December is when you would probably interview, discuss financial aid options, things like that. But
then January, March, you're starting to hear back. You can start negotiating financial aid, which I know is a big deal, to figure out how you're going to pay for law school. And I know I think we have some breakouts on that topic specifically. And then, of course, it says May to August, just relax and enjoy your summer before law school, which I think is actually good advice.
You know what I say? Read books, read novels, read fiction, because you're not going to read anything but cases during law school.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
And then September or late August, you start law school.
Yeah.
So.
See, we're so fast. We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes, people. Okay. So do you guys... I feel like I didn't even know, why are we 1Ls? What's a 2L? What's a 3L? You guys are all probably so much smarter than we were, but your first year, your 1L year, you're 1L, you're all going to take the same classes. Your 2 and your 3L year, they say that the first year they scare you to death. The second year they work you to death. And the third year they bore you to death. So it's kind of true. That's those years, second and third, is when you kind of start to pick and choose and start, it's kind of choose your own adventure.
Yeah, and you can really take whatever classes you want to your second and third year. There's not requirements other than you do have to take the ethics course. But there's so many different options in law school of different classes you can take. And sometimes people think like I need to take the ones that are going to be on the bar, and that's probably wise in some sense. But I would also, again, just take the ones that you like and that are interesting, because you don't have a lot of opportunity to study those courses later. So after you graduate, you get your JD. You take the bar exam wherever you're going to be practicing or wherever you want to practice. There's an application process in each state to take the bar. It's actually, it's a pretty deep background check. I'm on the Character and Fitness Committee for Utah, and we review like your credit history, or it's mostly just to make sure you don't have like a ton of outstanding debts, but and those kinds of things. So it is a pretty extensive thing. So if you can get started on just like keeping your addresses for the past 5 or 10 years and those kinds of things. If you have any criminal history issues, like get those cleared up, and come talk to me. I can tell you how to do that.
But it's not a deal breaker either.
It's not.
It's not a deal
absolutely.
breaker.
If you have any concerns about that, honestly, come talk to me, because I chair that committee, and I can tell you exactly what that looks like. Anyway, so then you get sworn in and you receive licenses. The people who just took the bar this summer just got their results. They're going to be sworn in like in a couple weeks. So, and then, throughout law school, you can get internships that lead to jobs after law school, and then, you're there. You become a lawyer and you're practicing, and then it's a whole other realm of like, how do I decide what I want to be for, my career? So.
Okay, so off script, what is your favorite thing about being a lawyer?
For me, I don't really get bored at work, ever. I shouldn't say that. Like that, there are days where I'm reading like documents, and then I'm like, oh, I've read this same contract in like 4 different versions. But for the most part, I am never bored at work. And maybe that's a character flaw that I need to be entertained. But like I am like genuinely engaged with my work all the time, with my clients, with my colleagues. Like I'm still surrounded by really smart, really interesting people every single day. And I don't know, like that seems like such a privilege to me. So, yeah.
So 2 things I want to say real quick. One thing that I heard during the beginning of law school, there was a speaker, a judge, and he said, when somebody comes to you and is willing to pay you hundreds of dollars an hour for a problem in their lives, they have lost sleep, they have cried about it, they've told all their friends about it. It is a big deal. You call the attorney when you feel like you cannot handle this problem by yourself. That is quite the mantle of responsibility that we carry in this profession. It's a noble profession. It's meaningful work. I can tell you that I've personally had to call an attorney in my own life, who, in different areas, and the comfort that you get, and the like, there's nothing like what you can do for people, right? The next thing I want to say is that I remember during one of the few things I remember during bar prep, this attorney said, lawyers bridge the gap between what is and what should be. And I know that we can all, I'm feeling pretty cynical too these days. I know that there's a lot of cynicism in the world, but I want you to know that it's still a noble profession. We still can make a difference. We still help we right wrongs in society. It's really powerful and empowering, and you will change lives. You will help people in ways you can't even imagine. So join us, won't you? Just stay in Utah if you do, please. Thank you. We need you. Okay. Okay, perfect. I'll introduce you. Thank you. Okay, this is good. You can tell we're real life friends, right? Yeah, we love each other. Okay, good. All right, guys. So you are actually going to have a break for 10 minutes. Please be back in your seats by 9:50, and then we will start the panel for preparing for law school. After that, there's also going to be a break, but just be back in your chairs by 9:50, please. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. And thank you, Melinda.